My palms are sweaty.
Dude, why are we all nervous? Is it because we're not ready? Is it not hot down
ready
here?
to go.
I'm surprisingly really prepared for this one.
Are you?
I feel great. My
am
hands are
too.
dry.
All right. And welcome back to Five's a Crowd. My name's Austin. Chris is doing some exercise as we're warming up,
Doing a jig, shaking it out.
getting ready for this topic on the Cecil Hotel. I'm your host, Austin. I'm surrounded by four idiot friends, Zach, Tony, Cam, and Chris.
Oh, wow.
Hola.
This is going to be a heavy subject, so also if you have little ears, maybe don't let them listen to this episode.
What if they're just an adult with little ears?
Well, then it's to their discretion.
To the little ear community, you can still listen.
Only you.
Good, I almost had to
I'm
leave.
looking out for all.
I love the little ear community, okay? I love whispering
Hey,
in their
your
little
ears grow your whole life, so
It's true.
Yours just started later.
are they little?
Whoa! They are tiny.
You know, we never looked
realized.
before, but now we're always gonna know.
Not while I'm wearing these.
Hey, little guy. How you doing?
Aw, it's so cute. We can whisper in your tiny ears.
Oh gosh.
All right. Well, to get this started off, the Cecil Hotel was started construction back in 1924 and was supposed to be this grand hotel. Supposed to be a banger when it was finished.
Oh yeah, right in L.A.
Super ritzy, right in the heart of LA.
Wasn't it by it by a train station?
It was a booming part of the town. They were like booming right there in that section, right?
Yeah. So it was
But it was.
a very busy metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Lots of traffic, lots of high income.
I do remember that. Something about that.
Because they wanted it specifically for like business people coming in, plus tourists, of course.
Yeah.
But
It's supposed to be like a mecca.
Yeah. And then they finished construction in 27. Was that right?
correct.
1927.
The bad boy was $1.5 million in
Back then.
the 20s.
Do we know what that converts to?
Oh, we can find out.
Carry the one times two.
Kind of jumping ahead a tad. It just sold for $84 million.
Correct. Yeah.
Which doesn't even make sense considering its location.
Right.
We'll get to this later, but at the end of this episode, you'll be going like, 84 million? How? How did they even sell it in the first place?
84 millions.
It was some New York company.
After this Netflix series and everything, I have a feeling they can bank a lot of money off this hotel. People will go there.
Maybe.
Just don't drink the water.
Did.
Also, what they're wanting to do to it in the... Well, what was that? Oh. What they're wanting to do in like rebuilding it is disgusting in my opinion.
I agree.
Anyway,
So that would be almost 16 million today.
16 million, that's it?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Wait, it was a depression. What do you want?
For real.
Well, it happened after, like the building finished right after the Depression, right?
It finished right before
it
the
was
Oh,
right
depression.
right before, that's
Yeah,
right.
it was still
finished
booming.
1927 was when it was finished construction, and then 29
Nine.
is when the Depression hit.
I
Correct.
say I'd only got a couple of years of
Actual use.
actual use, and then it went into depression, and then it turned into
Same with me.
Skid Row.
Yeah.
It turned into low income
Yeah.
like housing and
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
It was like 500 blocks, right?
Well,
is what
that's Skid Row. Yeah.
Yeah.
Skid Row is like 500 blocks in the heart of LA.
50? Is it 50
I was
or
going to say
500?
50 sounds better.
A five's in there somewhere.
Five.
Maybe the one
times
No, it's big. Yeah,
It's
a
big.
big
Is Skid
area.
Row that big?
Skid Row's big. It's like blocks.
18
It's not. I think the name. It's kind of a misnomer. It's not like a street of things. It's like a whole
an
block
area.
area.
Just a big area.
Is Skid Row.
Yeah, but we are wondering if it's 50 blocks or 500 blocks. Either way, it's a big
Calculate.
area.
Yeah.
And
it's
Skid
big.
Row, for those of you that don't know, is basically like a sanctioned off area in LA where it is legal to be homeless.
I wouldn't really say it's legal.
No, it is.
Well, I guess, yeah, sorry. You said homeless. My brain was finishing your sentence and I went a different route.
happens a lot to all of us.
So yeah, they basically it's like this gated, not gated, but it's an enforced area of homelessness. And when you enforce so many homeless into one confined area, no good happens.
Should we talk about the history of Skid Row for a second?
Well, and Chris, you were right. It's 50.
Yeah,
It's
like
50 city blocks, 2.7 square miles.
Yeah,
So added to your Skid Row,
yeah,
when prisoners would get released from jail, they take them to Skid Row. When people got released from the
Mental institution.
Mental institution. I was trying to think of a good way to say that. They were taken to Skid Row. And then, I mean, so you had just this cluster of just chaos that could happen.
Yeah.
there.
Well, and it was sad because it's almost like you can't throw people away, so it's the next best thing. Let's try and just hide them.
Let's
It's like
make a
it's
livable
human
dumpster.
landfill.
Yeah.
Let's make a livable dumpster. It's crazy.
Well, then it gets to
And it's not even livable.
No.
Dudes are just
well,
laying
then
out on the
they don't
street.
even let the people leave. So let's say one of these homeless people actually wants to try and make it somewhere. They can't.
make something of themselves.
The cops will literally
barricade. There's like barricades,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone gets out of that situation.
and then
No option. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to figure out. Well, California needs to get their ish together.
California's turning into Skidfornia. I don't know.
Sounds like something I got dared to watch to in high school.
and then they're gonna have Sydney Land or Skidney Land. Sorry,
It sounds like a place you find a kidney on the cheap.
Their main attractions, Scream and Skid.
oh my gosh! But so and it just so happens is that the Cecil Hotel was right in the middle of Skid Row.
Yeah.
And so it just became this place of really low income people living in it because there was nowhere else to go. And what else happens when you release people like prisoners and mentally unstable people into this area? You get a crime filled hotel.
And don't even give
And
them a shot.
It was a big hotel too. I mean,
was big.
19 floors, 700 rooms.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
it also didn't have a 13th floor.
No, which most don't.
Yeah. Which I just found out like last year.
Did we not talk? Didn't we talk about that in another podcast? Oh no,
Yeah,
I was
mentioned
saying it at work to somebody.
That's
I was
different.
like, there's not 13. Yeah, they
it's a-
skipped the
it's a
13th floor.
superstition. Yeah.
It is.
Is that still a thing even today in
I
hotels
think so.
built today?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, yeah.
So what do they do? Is it just a blank floor?
No, they
it
just
literally just goes
number
from
it.
12
They
to
just skipped
14.
13.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
It's the 13th floor, but it's labeled 14.
But with all this going on, it caused this hotel to dilapidate very quickly.
Yeah.
Well,
Downturned quickly.
Because wasn't and I remember there being a number. I want to say it only cost a couple dollars a night.
It's like
Yeah,
$100
it's
a
three.
night.
It was three.
$3 a night, I
Was
think.
it 3?
And then it went to 12 or something.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, I remember it was like 10, 15 bucks a night at one point.
But it
sounds
started out
great.
really, really low. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
They said that there were some people who've been living there for like 20 years
Yeah.
on just, 10
Yeah,
bucks
because
or whatever it was.
it ended up
was like
being-
$400 a month or something.
Yeah, because of the depression, it became this massive budget hotel.
Yeah.
And then they were giving like weekly and monthly rates, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's
It's even on their sign.
subsidized housing there too for homeless people, for
Yeah.
homeless individuals. But the crazy thing about that hotel is like you go into it and it's just magnificent.
Oh, it's
magnificent,
beautiful.
beautiful.
Had like
what do you
well,
call that lobby?
The lobby.
The
The
lobby.
lobby was like marble, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
then
and even outside, like the sign and everything, it was just very welcoming.
Supposed to be swanky.
and then as soon as you get into a hallway,
Not
By
even that,
today.
it was
Yeah. By today.
Needles.
It was
person,
more the
needles.
elevator. As soon as you got in the elevator, it was like, oh, geez.
Talk about that elevator.
The elevator in itself has a lot of creepiness going
Yes.
the elevator in itself is
So what? So over the years, it was just. I know it was like the lower floors specifically.
no. It started out the
that
higher
came
floors.
later.
Yeah, it started out that the higher floors that like individuals who lived in Skid Row who would go stay there. Like there's one individual, I forgot what his name was, but he was talking about how if he ended up getting some money or whatever, that he'd go party in the upper levels of Skid Row or of
the
Cecil and like hire prostitutes or do whatever. But he was saying that there's one floor that you don't go on that floor because it's just
Wasn't it like the 14th floor?
yeah, the 14th floor because it was known for just
People just did.
dying.
Well, which would have been the 13th floor.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Well, and they would even use it as like gangs of the area or whatever, they would even kill people up there and like toss them out the window and do stuff like that.
With that, so the first death reported there was 1932.
31. I'm reading on it
31,
right now.
and it was a suicide.
Yeah, the man committed suicide. Yep.
He jumped off, right?
No, it was overdose.
Oh,
Or
suicide.
or was it?
It
It was
doesn't
either
say.
that or it says at some point that a couple other suicides were because they took poison capsules, but I don't know if it was that first guy. I think the first guy was just drugs, but then there was 2 more shortly after him. I think like 6 years later. Then there was a couple with poison capsules.
It was just like a spiral. Just
Yeah. Went downhill so fast.
Well, and there's that one lady who jumped out the window.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
who I'm
landed
thinking
on
of.
another guy and
killed
killed him
him.
instantly.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, just some
That's
random
so
guy
insane.
walking down the street.
think
just,
it's gonna rain it. You know,
women. That's why it rains men and not women.
exactly.
he found the bad genie.
Could you imagine getting to heaven?
It's not funny, but it's
You don't see her coming. Could you imagine you get to heaven and you're just like, what?
You think you're still walking, and you're like, how did I get so lost? Where am I? I took a wrong turn.
I mean, I heard this part of town was weird, but I don't remember taking anything.
Did I step
really
on
hot
something
right now.
Oh my gosh.
Well, fast forward. I mean, since
glad
then,
you got
there
it.
have been dozens of deaths and suicides and murders and overdoses and all sorts of stuff going on. But if you fast forward to the 80s and 90s, Richard Ramirez is the next big topic.
Dang.
The Night Stalker. Now, this is pretty crazy.
Well, it's wild because they have. So not only is the Cecil Hotel like got a documentary on Netflix, but so does he.
Yeah.
Richard
still
Ramirez has his own entire documentary.
I still need to see that one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
that guy?
It's called The Night
It's,
Stalker.
it's
Okay.
just the Night Stalker. That dude was nuts.
Can
Have
I
you
just
seen
say,
it?
I haven't watched it yet, but I was looking into him, and my gosh.
Yeah.
The craziest thing that I heard about them, and it was just on this with the Cecil Hotel one. This guy would go out, murder women, just blood splash everywhere. He'd come back to the hotel, go in the alleyway, get out of his clothes, walk into the hotel, nothing but his underwear, covered in blood still, go up to his room.
And everybody thought it was normal.
Yeah,
And
everybody,
cared.
nobody said a single word. You got a guy walking half naked through the hotel,
Mostly
blood
naked,
all
yeah.
over the place.
Dude,
Yeah,
and he
and no
was
one
like,
said a word.
he killed a ton of people.
Yeah.
Didn't
Like,
he have
was
like
at large for a while.
He had a signature
no,
knot
he-
he'd use, right?
That's
Yes.
just it. I think he was only.
Well,
he was only.
wasn't it
one.
just the summer?
No, you're thinking of
no,
the other
Wasn't
guy.
it just the summer he was loose?
It was about a year. I want to
Okay.
say it was about a year. And in that year, though, I want to say he killed what nine. I could be. I'm not going to say a number because I don't know.
As I
But
said, I thought it was up to the 40s.
but like they were
I could
saying
be
that they
wrong.
would find some of his victims missing their eyeballs. Like I mean,
Yeah.
he was sick,
Yep.
Oh, he was super
and
psycho.
he lived at the Cecil. Like that was his residence.
Yeah, it was his residence.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I don't know how you don't call the cops on someone who comes in so frequently covered in blood.
That's how
Just in
bad
his
this
underwear.
place is.
Exactly.
I know, but like,
It's
how
so crazy.
Because, I mean, this guy, he killed at least 14 people, and he raped and tortured at least 24 more. Mostly during the spring and summer of 1985.
Wow.
So he started out by just finding houses with their doors unlocked, and he would just walk in
Yep.
and kill them.
That was his thing.
I was gonna say he didn't really have a.
Like they had people, he had people terrified.
Yeah, he didn't have an MO.
That's the word
Yeah.
I'm looking. Yeah,
That kind of creeps me out in that like strangers vibe where at the
No,
very
exactly.
end, they're
Yeah.
like, why did you do this? Oh, because they were home.
Dude, that messed me up.
My.
Dude, so messed
I haven't
up.
seen that. I'm kind of glad.
it's so good.
Dude,
is
it's way
great.
good. But that part seriously just
You're
sends
good.
chills.
Your guys as good as like my terrified.
I mean, in all fairness, because I know how you hate the paranormal, it's got nothing to do with paranormal.
I don't hate it. I very much so respect it and want
just-
it to stay respected.
It's just a slasher thriller.
Well, I almost wouldn't even call it slasher.
And it's like based on a true
It's
story,
it's
right?
more
Like a
psychological.
psycho-thrill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's-
That's a little.
and
It's
it's
messed
based
up,
on a
man.
true story. But
But that's how I view this guy, this Richard.
Just so you know, I learned my cup's on this side from now on.
Nice. Good move.
Thank you.
Good move.
Where's your cup?
I don't want to talk about it. Thanks for calling me out.
It's okay, Lisa. It's okay, babe. He still appreciates you.
I do.
Yeah.
Danny was better in this cup.
So what I think is on this Richard Ramirez thing too. So you guys ever heard of the show Ghost Adventures?
Yeah.
With Zach Baggins and I can't remember the other crew, but I know the main guy's Zach.
That guy's nuts.
Yes. So they did a 2-hour special here at the hotel. And they actually had a few mediums go in there. Didn't really tell them the background of it. These people went in kind of blind about the hotel, not really knowing anything.
They did their homework.
And well, they might have, but
I'm just kidding.
there was one group of them who was a husband and wife, and they literally walked into his hotel room, and he said they just were like immediately hooked over his wife and said, "What's up, killer?" And they were like, well, "Why would you say that?" And he was just like, "I don't know why. Whose room is this?" And they said who it was, and he goes, "I just got the distinction to say that." He's like, it just felt like the word to say at the time. "What's up, killer?" But he said that they believe that the hotel itself is kind of like one of those entryways for evil, that they believe it actually calls upon people. Like with Richard Ramirez, there was something in him, and then this hotel, by him going to stay there, actually called upon him and actually made that evil kind of jump out of him.
You know, go ahead.
No, go for it.
You breathed in first. You're up.
Is that what it's got to be? No. So I believe that is a good possibility, because I believe when there's negativity and stuff in an area, that the energy there becomes pretty negative.
Well, and before Richard Ramirez showed up there was on that same floor, like a couple rooms down, there was a girl who was brutally murdered there and brutally raped as well in one of the rooms. And so that whole floor, like you had mentioned, that whole floor, it's just nobody really
Wanted
tried
to
to
be
go
on
there.
it,
It just
yeah.
was a entryway.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would know more about that, I think, than the four of us. But
We've had moments.
in a sense, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all had our moments, right? With all that crap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to find I was trying, while you guys were talking, I was trying to find the date and time for when they decided to try and rebrand a portion of the Cecil.
2011.
2007, I thought.
Yeah.
It was that
Seven?
recent?
That was
2007?
That was when it was bought by someone else.
No. I'm talking when they tried to
I
rename
think it was
to
2011 that they changed it to the
Stay on Main?
Stay on Main.
No,
No, it's just
I'm almost positive.
no, because Elisa Lam happened in 2003.
yeah,
13.
2013.
Oh, 2013.
Correct,
yeah, she was 2013, and I swear it was Stay
Carried
on
the
Main.
one.
No,
when
yeah,
she-
yeah. After being bought in 2007, the Cecil, the Cecil / Stay on Main became half long time stay for low income / low credit tenants.
And then a
But no,
hostel.
just real quick, I was going to say on just the whole negativity thing, I don't think it necessarily brings out evil in people, but it sticks with them.
It finds it and amplifies it.
Yeah, just because, I mean, I don't want to jump forward too much, but that Morbid, that musician we were talking about, how quickly his life went down the drain because of everything with Elisa Lam.
Yeah.
Because he stayed there a year earlier. It's like, what if because he stayed there, whatever is there stuck with him and it didn't affect him immediately, but a year later tore him apart.
Yeah. Did you say that with that too? You said that was it a couple of medians? Like it was a husband
So
and
they
wife
had a
were
husband and
medians?
wife go in, and then they had another couple go in as well.
So the husband and wife were medians?
Yes.
That would be a horrible relationship.
Tell your mom to shut up.
Oh, you should hear what your dad's saying about you right now.
Don't you bring my mother into this. Don't you bring her into this.
I'm sorry, but that just went in my mind. I had to say something.
I gotta say, off the rails real fast. That reminds me of this shower thought that I was reading the other day. And it was like, man, Cyclops in the X-Men must have been the golden child, because he was married to Jean Grey, who can read minds, and yet she still stayed with him.
Touche.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Anywho,
I had to say something.
Also,
that would be horrible.
real quick on the Night Stalker, after he was caught and convicted, they convicted him of a death sentence on 19 counts.
19 counts, huh?
Yeah. So does that mean he had 19 death sentences?
Yeah.
So he got sentenced to death on 19
Yeah.
Or
Not,
on
well,
cases.
19 19
So
counts
19
of-
different cases he got the death penalty on.
Pretty
Yes.
much.
That's a
yes.
lot. What if we could kill
Carry
him,
it out,
bring
revive
him
him.
back, and kill him again?
That's called torture.
Wasn't he the one when he left the courtroom, yelled "Hail Satan"?
yeah, and he had
Yep, he
the
had a pentagram on his
Yeah.
hand.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
You could waterboard him and then give him CPR.
Yeah, why not?
There you
Freaking-
go.
This guy deserves something like that. Give
And then
him
on the
19
18th
death-
one, you don't revive.
Well, what about
So
the
then he-
19th?
Well, I mean, like the 19th then would, or sorry.
On the 19th one?
Well, I'm just trying to think before the 19th death.
well, he would have to die.
He would die on the
19
19th
times.
death.
It would be the 19th death.
Yeah, okay.
He
Wait, hold on.
deserves it.
His heart's still going a little. Okay, stop. Go, 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 go.
Then you have to wait, give it a minute. Give it a full minute.
Then you got to shock him back with
Defibrillator.
Honestly, I have no remorse for those kind of people.
Nope.
No, none whatsoever.
I mean, I wouldn't do it personally
Especially-
myself, but somebody else should do that.
Like the Joker would say, you get what you effing deserve.
He never said effing.
He did.
The
He
Joker?
did.
But
In
he
the
put
Joaquin
more-
Phoenix one.
Yeah, Joaquin
Oh, I
Phoenix.
haven't seen that one.
Oh, bro.
I'm sorry.
Well, then, spoiler alert.
It's very good. It's
He'll
very
figure it
good. It's very dark, but it's very good.
Yeah, it's heavy. It leaves you walking out of there kind of
Yeah.
Feeling gross.
not gross, but just heavy.
Heavy.
That's the
Yeah.
best word for it.
It is a heavy one.
So kind of jumping next on the serial killer topic.
Yeah.
There was that Jack Unterweger.
Unterweger?
Unterweger.
Who
Unterweger?
was
Unterweger.
he was an Austrian serial killer,
Yeah.
and
Thanks, guys.
wasn't he? Well, in the way they described him,
Hey, they gave us Arnold too. We're good.
but the way they described him, he would target women. Mainly prostitutes, right? He almost reminded me of the Austrian version of Ted Bundy.
So
Kind
this was
of.
in Austria. He started doing that in Austria, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Well, his mom was a prostitute.
okay, see, I
So he
didn't
was
know that.
taking it out on his mom.
Yeah, so when he was younger,
Figuratively.
his mom was a prostitute. He grew up around that life and even acted like a pimp. No, you're actually right.
I know. It's just Chris's face.
But as he grew up, his mom basically ditched him.
Yeah.
And he was raised by I can't even remember who he was raised by, but someone else. So his mom ditched him, and he went over. He started dating this woman who was a prostitute, and they saw her friend, this 18-year-old girl, on the side of the road, and they followed her home. He killed her parents, and
the
then
friend?
they abducted her. Yeah, took her into the forest, and she refused to have sex with him. So he hit her in the head with a tire, something hard, hit her in the head, and then he choked her to death with her own bra.
Ugh.
That's horrible.
Well, and then he was kind of known for having a specific knot that he could
would strangle him with.
he could strangle. Yeah, it was a specific slip knot where he could strangle him to the point of unconsciousness, and then he would bring him back and keep doing that repeatedly.
Yeah. Well, he got caught for that first murder and went to jail in Austria.
And then they let him go.
Well, he thrived in jail, as they said. He was illiterate before. He taught
Made
himself
jail
how to
his
read.
place.
Yeah. He taught himself how to read. Again, goes back to the point that I made in that other episode. Why do we let them get stronger and smarter? Because they're just gonna we've seen it over and over. They
This is
just come
proof right
out
here.
and keep doing the things they were doing to get there in the first place. but better. so he gets wicked smart. He writes an autobiography and like makes money off that, like a best-selling autobiography about him confessing about the murder of this woman, and gets super smart. The Austrian government's like, oh yeah, he's reformed. Let's let him go. And they do. And then like 4 days later, a dead prostitute shows up.
But he's reformed.
And then that's when he,
Yeah.
isn't that shortly after that, that's when he came to LA.
Well, he killed a few more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He killed a bunch
that's
more.
Right, that's
It
right.
started getting hot
then
on
he-
his heels, and then
And
that's
then
when
he came to
That's
LA.
right.
And he like
And he
I think that's your dog.
and then he posed as a journalist, right? Or was he
he became a journalist.
Okay.
And he would go on ride-alongs with the police.
Because
and
he
stuff.
wanted to research the prostitution in Skid Row.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
show and write about the differences between prostitution, the attitude towards prostitution in Austria and towards it here in the US.
You know, this is going to sound really bad, but I would think prostitution in where's he
Austria?
from?
Austria
would be a lot better than prostitution in Skid Row. Just saying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I mean he could hide better.
Touche.
In Skid Row.
Yeah.
I mean, you got friggin' the Night Stalker walking around in his tidy whities and,
And no
blood
one's
covered.
saying anything.
Nobody's doing
That's
anything about
true.
it.
So
But he would actually say, I want to interview, and he'd take prostitutes up in the room.
Back to his room
Yeah.
for an interview.
Yeah.
Quotations. Yeah.
And
wonder what happened in that
then
interview.
we know.
Well, and
Disturbing.
He killed him.
Okay.
they
All right.
murdered
They
him.
died.
They're done for. And
Died.
so it turns out
horrible.
that he actually was caught because this like it's totally like a movie. 70-year-old retired policeman puts together that the murders that are happening here are similar to his first murder. And so they start actually looking into him because he was living the good life. He was like wearing nice clothes. He had nice things. He was among not like higher up crowd. He was a journalist.
So
all
was
this
he
stuff.
like Grand Theft Autoing it? You know, kill the hookers and steal the money.
Give them the money.
Give him the money, make the car bounce a little bit.
Kill them.
Kill
then
him,
take
take
off.
the money
Take
back,
the
plus
money
whatever
back.
money else they had on
Of
him.
course, you can't leave him.
I'm sorry. That just when you said he's living the high life, had the money. That was the
He
first thing that popped in
was,
my
The
dude.
head.
sad
was a
thing is we
psycho.
all know exactly what you meant.
Don't question.
So we've all done
Give
it.
the money.
Oh, but ultimately, and I don't even think I said this, but with his very first murder, and obviously all his subsequent ones, but in his first one, he said that he saw his mother's face in the girl and he snapped. And that's why he strangled
So
her
he
to death.
literally was taking it all on his mom. Wow.
Yeah.
And then it says in 1994, Austria found him guilty of 9 more murders and issued him a life sentence.
Yeah.
So they sent
Isn't
him
that
back to
wild?
Austria
Just
then?
the 90s.
I missed how he ended up back in Austria, honestly.
He got a
I
one-way
can't remember.
ticket.
I think he
Was he extradited? Is that
I
the
don't
word?
know if he was
Extradited?
extradited or I think he went back. Like
before he could get caught here.
before he got caught, I think he went back and he killed more. And then he got caught.
Jeez.
This guy.
Is he still alive?
That's a great
He
question.
better not be.
I'm wondering if he got a death sentence or not.
No, it says life
No,
sentence.
he got life.
Oh, I wonder if he's still alive.
Remember
then.
That right
think they
there is
could
the funny
reform
thing.
them.
Was it a death sentence or a life sentence?
Life or death. It's life till death. Right?
Well, it's
Wouldn't
funny.
it?
Even a death sentence, you still just spend you technically spend the rest of your life in jail, but they don't make it to the death sentence like a lot of the time.
It's
Wait,
an
when did-
expedited process.
When did you say he went to jail?
94?
He died in 94.
Oh.
So they probably
This-
put
this
him in
was-
jail in
He
94
died
and
in
killed him.
prison.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because this just said in 94, the government of Austria found him guilty of 9 murders and issued a life sentence.
And his first murder was in 1974.
Wow.
Goodness.
Dude,
So
I'm so
20
thankful
years.
that we're alive in a day and age where there's so much more tech.
You get caught so fast trying
Yeah.
to pull this crap.
Yeah, just
See,
like
but
just the other day over here in Ogden, gas station attendant was killed
I saw that.
by probably like some sort of gang member.
Well, and it was a
Jeez.
juvenile.
Yeah.
He was under 18.
Oh, did they actually catch the guy?
Yeah,
Yes,
I just
they caught
read
him
it
already,
today.
Yeah, see? And like it was just a matter of days. Like stuff like this doesn't happen anymore, at least from what we've heard so far. But I mean,
That's
I feel
it's a
like-
lot harder.
I feel like it's definitely more of a pro, but the few cons are, if we're ready to jump into the Elisa Lam thing, I feel like that social media could almost be overbearing for law enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, you just turn it off.
Well, and I just remembered. So he was convicted, put in jail, and then he immediately hung himself.
That's right.
I was gonna say, I wondered if he committed suicide.
That's the worst,
He
man.
used his special
I know,
knot on himself.
friggin' butthole
That's a good way
cheater.
for him to
He's
go.
really good at tying knots.
He used the same knot
Yeah.
that he
Yeah,
applied
that's why
on
he's-
his victims.
Yep.
Jeez. Wasn't like the knot, it was a slip knot, but it also had a knot that was like right on their throat or something like that.
I don't know. I actually
But-
didn't look
I don't know.
into that. But I mean,
morbid.
freak.
He used this. Yeah, but I
Wow.
remember that he used the same knot on himself that he used on his victims.
Jeez.
So
Pansy.
crazy. Yeah.
So then we'll fast forward to the rebranding of the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah.
Stay on Maine.
The stay on Maine, because that's a big crucial part of the next case, which is the Elisa Lam case.
So on that, did we confirm then Stay on Maine was 2007?
I believe so.
Either way,
I actually it didn't, the way that sentence actually read is they were just calling it the Cecil / Stay on Maine. So they weren't saying it changed.
Yeah,
then.
and it was weird because when they called it that, it literally had two lobbies. So it still had the Cecil
split
Hotel
the
lobby,
lobby. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was the marble
So
elegant lobby.
This was a giant attempt to rebrand the hotel, give it new life,
Correct.
bring in new visitors, become another attraction, trying to revive the place.
Yeah,
Right.
And you were right. It was 2011.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie. If I showed up to this place under that stay in Maine, I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
Like those people said, they showed up to lobby. They were all happy as can be. The lobby looked great. Pictures when they booked it looked great. And then they walked into their room and they were like, literally, your foot would stick to the ground.
carpet.
Well,
Like,
no,
just
that
to
was
the
that was
carpet.
still the old hotel.
Well, that was still under
No,
the
'cause that
branding of
was-
Stay on Main.
Because on Stay on Main, they had separate entrances, separate
Well, yeah,
lobbies.
and that's what they said. They said they went in
Yeah.
the Stay on Main entrance, and they were still like, "Wow, this is great." But they said as soon as we walked in the elevator, we were kind of iffish, and then we walked into our room that they gave us for the Stay on Main.
Oh, see,
and we were
I
immediately
think
like,
I know
"Oh."
the couple you're talking of, and I don't think they stayed at the Stay on Main.
They did.
Maybe they
Yeah.
did.
Well, that's just it. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But what they did is out of the, what is it?
It was 3 floors.
18 floors? How many?
19.
19 floors that they have there. They took 3 floors and completely refurbished them, gave them new
Yeah.
paint, new mattresses.
Oh,
new,
I follow what you're saying now.
Yeah, new everything. So I don't think that they stayed at the Stay on Main.
They didn't stay in those 3 floors.
Because the
stayed at the
Cecil's,
Cecil.
the Cecil's lobby was still really nice. Like all
Okay.
the marble and stuff.
But that's what was
Yeah, and he's talking about a couple that
British couple.
So the British couple?
The
I
British
remember.
couple.
Yeah.
He was saying that when you would walk on the carpet was almost sticky. Like tacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
And
walked
so-
on carpet like that before.
You
Like,
have?
Yeah, where it's like
have
that.
too.
It's that really,
Doctor's
really.
appointment.
I mean, the closest I've ever gotten is when you're at like the movie theaters and someone spilt their Coke.
Actually, I think
yes.
that's it. Before movie theaters had the hard floor, like old movie theaters used to still have carpet a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I had an experience too. Tell them yours, and then I'm telling them mine.
Well, I was gonna go into the hotel, so you go.
My experience, and it was in California. I'm not going to tell you where it was, but you walk in to the hotel room, and your foot sticks, and then you move, and things start crawling, and the carpet would stay where your footprint was, like it didn't move. It
No.
didn't move.
That's disgusting.
Oh my gosh, dude! There's some sketchy
and
hotels in California.
and it was next to a place that rhymes with Wisney Wand.
dude.
Okay. So here's something. So while I was watching this Cecil Hotel docuseries, I was sitting there and like people are like wanting to vacation to LA. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
It's because they're not from the western half of the
Like,
U.S.
why on earth, out of all the places you could travel, would you want to travel to LA?
The only
They
place
don't
in
know,
right?
dude. They don't know.
the only place to stay in LA is within a block radius of Disney.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, 100%.
I was gonna say I would, if it were me, I would travel to somewhere in California, like Anaheim or something like that.
Yeah.
and then maybe take a day trip into LA or Hollywood or something
dude,
like that.
Well, dude,
and then
even
go back. Like, I
Hollywood
wouldn't
is
even.
so
Oh, I
jank.
know, but I wouldn't stay there. I would do like I said, just
Just
a
for the
drive
tourist
in,
thing.
a day. Go in for a couple hours, do a little bit tourist stuff, and then drive out. Like I would never stay
Yep.
there.
All I'm saying is for all of you international peeps listening right now, if
Yeah.
you decide you want to take a vacation to the US, do not go to LA.
There's so many places that are way better.
Way
Come
better.
to Utah. It's beautiful here. You got great sights to
Big old
see.
mountains, big old lakes.
You'll love it.
I mean, even
Do
San
not-
Diego. Go
I
to
mean,
San
San
Diego.
Diego's
Yeah,
dope.
San Diego.
San Diego's
Hit up
dope.
Laguna. Laguna Beach is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go to LA.
No,
Don't go to San Francisco.
do it. Don't do it.
Just
Yeah.
San Francisco's decent. It's just really expensive.
Hit up Lake
But it's
Tahoe.
beautiful. It's nice there.
extremely
though.
populated.
Stay away from Oakland.
Anyway,
You'll lose your tires.
on the,
back on the subject. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just had that rant because I was like, and then it made me question, like, where would I want to go that maybe I shouldn't go? Like if I
on their
wanted-
side of the on their side of the sea.
Like, what's the LA in Europe that I've always wanted to go to? Like, is it London? Like,
All
is
of it.
London like that? I don't know.
Or Berlin or something.
Yeah, you like get there and you're like, what is this scrummy city?
Is it
Anyway,
because you
Sussex
hear
or
great
something like
things
that?
and you
Yeah.
always see the good side of it. But
Sussex in England?
Isn't there Sussex?
Sussex.
There's probably a weird. There's some weird
I want
places
to
in
say there's a
England. I'm
place called
sure.
Sussex.
There's weird
Anyway.
places all over the
Oh,
world.
all over.
all right, back on the subject. Sorry, I just had
Wessex.
that rant.
So yeah, once it was made over to the stay on Main.
Yes.
So we already said it had the 2 lobbies, and then the first 2 floors were permanent living,
Resident.
like residents.
Residents,
It was
yeah.
actual residents for the low income housing, and then the next 3 levels were the stay on Main, where they had new new bedding, new everything.
And they put
And it was a
Fresh paint.
it was a youth hostel.
it was a hostel. Yeah.
That's right, because it would have the public bathrooms, or I
Yes.
guess it
Yeah,
does.
they had like shared bathrooms, which
Yeah.
is
Which
cool.
Which
I've
people
heard of
were,
before.
were complaining that they were being spied on, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know
And
how
then
that works.
some of the rooms you'd even have roommates and different things, but then
bunks.
above those next 3, then it was still the Cecil. Excuse me, where it was still the older
Correct. Yeah.
crack.
The crack den.
The crack floors.
Basically, they said anything above floor 7, you shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sidebar. Over here at the local college, I used to, because I didn't stay on campus, but I had a lot of friends who did. So I'd go stay the night in their dorm and just like hang out.
Mm-hmm.
They had shared bathrooms.
Such a bad idea.
And, but they had each like level
Shared-
in this dorm
shared
was
co-ed?
different sex. No.
Oh,
So my friends,
okay.
my friends were female. They let me stay in their room, and I'd have to like time it and go into these bathrooms when no one else was there. Dude, there was one time when I was in there and I was like hiding. I'm like, oh my god, if I get caught, I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
Could you not just run up to the next floor?
No, because it was all locked. You had to have like badges and stuff
Yeah.
because it was like strict.
Sneaky.
No co-ed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Apparently it didn't work.
That was like the scariest time of my life, dude. I was in there going
You
to the
could have got
bathroom.
blue dotted, man.
I know. I know.
Hey, just think of how much easier it is nowadays.
I was in there going pee, and all of a sudden, I'm in there going pee, and all of a sudden the door comes open. I'm like, and just like that sheer panic. Hello? Just me, one of the girls here. I just had Taco Bell. You don't want to come in here. Anyway, back up. Sorry, I had to share that
I
because it just.
still get that feeling of when I'm pooping and I see the bathroom doorknob start to turn. Wait, no!
Don't make me prematurely pinch.
Is it just me, or does everyone else, after you lock those doors and sit down, just immediately think, I didn't lock it.
I do that.
It's too late, and I didn't lock it.
So you're bearing down, putting your
You're
foot
just
on
like,
the
oh,
door
no.
just to make sure.
Yep, yep.
Anyway, sorry. So yeah, they had a shared bathrooms for whatever reason. People were complaining that they were getting peeped on. That just, I mean, even for being refurbished in 2011, that seems like such an outdated thing.
Yeah.
Which I've never understood why any of our public bathrooms have such big gaps in the freaking doors.
It's only a U.S. thing, dude, and I don't
It's
understand
stupid.
it. It's very
All
stupid.
you gotta do is put a little piece of metal that covers the gap.
Well, even why do you have the gap on the foot of the...
Why doesn't it go to the floor and to the ceiling?
I don't know.
Just give me a tiny room.
Yeah.
Right?
How much more could material cost, guys?
God.
You're already doing the work.
They didn't engineer it that way. Okay.
There's my rant.
We just
Hey.
want a little,
Airflow? Is it for the airflow?
I just maybe.
I have
No
it
problem.
out, man.
just think
Only
you want
thing
a
I
little
hate about
privacy
public-
in a public
Here,
restroom.
Just a little bit.
Only problem I have is they don't have bidets, and sometimes you really have to wipe down the seat and put a lot of toilet paper down
You know
on that
how
seat.
mad I get at work when I go to the bathroom and I reach back and there's no handle to the bidet? I'm just like, toilet paper.
Well, that's gonna itch in an hour.
All right.
Oh man.
So Cecil. Cecil.
We went on a lot of sidebars here. Okay, so Cecil Hotel
Yeah, we keep managing to come back. We're good.
successfully rebranded. I'll do an air quotes,
Air quotes.
successfully. And it did what it intended to do. It attracted a whole new bunch of people to
Young
want
travelers.
a whole bunch of tourists back to LA to stay at the Stay on Main.
Yeah, because they see they're just looking for a cheap hotel. Hey, this one happens to be right in the middle of LA. That's where I wanted to tour.
Yeah.
Can I just say too that I kind of feel bad for the manager of this hotel?
I don't at all.
I don't
Why the
either.
heck are they
I
there? Why the heck is she still there, dude?
The manager?
She's like got an awkward passion for that hotel.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know. She seems like a good person at heart. Like she legit was trying to do good for this hotel.
Like the captain that goes down with the ship.
Yeah, it just kept coming back and biting her in the butt, but she just didn't want to leave it.
That's exactly what it is, man.
See,
She
I
was
was
like,
well, what it said that in one of her first like tours of the building, they
There's a
happened to come.
sniper.
They happened. Well,
Like,
no,
the
even
policeman.
before.
Was it before
I
that?
think it was before that. They
it
go
was,
into
it was
one.
before that, yeah.
They go into
Okay.
one of the rooms and there's a dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
her
and
very
then-
first tour of the place, she's
Yeah.
like, "Show me where I'm working. Oh, here's a dead
Here's
body."
a dead guy.
and she was very like put off by it, and then she's like, "But you get used to it after a while." He's like,
Didn't she say that in her 10 years of working there, she saw 80 bodies?
Yeah,
something
like
80
that.
deaths.
80 year.
They called it a hotbed of death.
I don't like the word hot when it comes to death.
But also,
like just
during her tenure, there were about 3 911 calls a day.
no, I thought it was more than that.
No, this one says, 3. 3
Yeah,
911
it says
calls a day.
about 3 911 calls
So
a day.
there were thousands
Yeah.
made in
And they-
her time there.
They said that if they call the police, sometimes they wouldn't even answer because they were
Yeah.
so busy in that area.
Well, that's kind of what it was saying about that Elisa Lam. It's like, even if we called the police, like when she was acting erratically in the lobby, it's like, even if we called the police, would they have shown?
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
But she was so monotone and like so like
Oh, yeah.
She's probably
was-
desensitized.
but there were that's what I mean. There was no emotion when she's talking. We liked this place.
Well, another
Like,
dead guy.
hey, so you know, it's just she could have been beautiful. Like just staring. You're like,
Yeah.
what?
And
all
that's I'll touch on that later when they talk about
agree.
selling it.
Yeah.
But my gosh. Anyway, so then it starts pulling in tourists.
Yeah.
Elisa Lam being the main case that we're going to be talking about here.
Yeah.
She comes in from Canada. She's a
She
student.
was young. What was she in her 20s?
21.
In 21?
She's 21.
She's
yeah.
21, traveling solo. Comes to stay at the Stay on Main. She's here on vacation. Always
Well,
wanted
she's
to
doing a
explore
whole
LA.
West Coast tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Started
started down in
in
San
San
Diego. Yeah.
Well, she probably flew into like San
Yeah,
Diego and then went up
and then
to
she
LA.
was making her way up.
Yeah. And she went to a particular university, right? What was the university that she studied at?
Yeah.
That comes to play later. We can revisit that.
That was
don't
back
remember.
up in Canada though.
Yeah.
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 I forgot what it was.
And then I don't really know where to pivot from here.
Can I make a quick comment
Yeah,
before
go
we
for
get
it.
further?
Yeah, yeah.
So when we were talking about the lobby being nice, the rooms and then go into the rooms, and it was a whole different world. We got to take into account too that everybody used the same elevators. Everybody.
Yes.
We got to talk about that because
Was there only one pair of elevators?
Yeah, there's two elevators total, and everybody used them. Everybody used them.
That's what was so bizarre. It's like, okay, so you're staying on the stay on main in these nice refurbished rooms, but you may be sharing an elevator with a
Deranged serial killer.
right?
I mean, he's so
for real,
twacked
the
out
Night
that
Stalker.
he's
A guy who's staying in the low income housing who just
and-
went out and did his drug deal and now he's on his way back home.
And now that you say that, I forgot to mention, this was also one of the last places where Elizabeth Short was seen. And Elizabeth Short is the Black Dahlia.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So she was seen
Right.
in the bar at the Cecil Hotel.
That was
That's
one of the
right.
last places. That's
Yeah.
right.
And
And
that was
what's her story? Just as like a quick.
That
as a quick
is
side note, it's insane. So
all over the place.
they don't know. They actually have still never solved it. They have an idea. There are some ideas about the guy that did it, but they never caught the person who did it. Essentially, one day she was found on the lawn, and she was super pale. Her skin was crazy pale. The lady that found her actually thought it was like a discarded mannequin because it was so pale. And when she got closer to it, she realized that it was a person. She had been cut in half, drained of all blood, didn't have a drop of blood on her or in her or around her.
the
So she
ice
was killed
truck
somewhere
killer.
else. And that's actually, I think, what that was inspired from.
Oh, really?
And so she was left there. She was cut with surgical precision. So they deciphered that it had to be someone with some sort of extensive medical knowledge because they cut her in half so perfectly. But her body was separated by about a foot, cut in the midsection, no blood whatsoever, and her face had bruises from being beaten, and she was cut from the corners of her mouth like up to her ears. And she was just left there.
just
What?
yeah.
And then later the coroner who was like trying to figure it out got a phone call from the supposed murderer telling him he didn't like what they were doing or something. He's like, and I could prove that I murdered her. And he mailed them her stuff, her birth certificate, her wallet, like all these different things. And then it sent, and along with it was like a newspaper clipping note, basically talking about how he did it.
Really?
Yeah. It's nuts. It's a whole nother thing I'm sure we could go into.
Okay.
But I mean, she was also connected to this hotel. So going back to, it was your theory, I think, like this hotel's got bad juju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to destroy anyone it touches.
Yeah, that's what I think it was Zach who was saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys over
was
there.
me,
you're
Cam.
you're a collective being.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So Elisa Lam, this is in 2013, and it says January 28th is when she checked in to the Cecil Hotel, or the stay on Main.
The stay on me.
And her last seen day was the 31st, so just a few days later,
Yeah.
which is
crazy.
Yeah. So could you imagine traveling somewhere and then
Well, and up to this point, she'd been traveling for a little bit, but didn't she contact her family like every day?
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah. And so here a little bit of background information on Elisa is she also ran a Tumblr, like a big old blog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where
Yeah,
she
was
would
big on Tumblr.
It's an
she would
online
keep
diary.
it was an online diary of things that she was doing, things that she was feeling, and a lot of the people that followed her loved her for her transparency because she was brutally honest about herself and her feelings and what she's going through. And so I don't know how big her audience was. I never delved into how big of her following was, but she also stayed very much in contact with her family. She'd call them every day. And it was one day that passed, I want to say. Wasn't it only one day?
Without
that
them being
her family
contacted.
was like, we haven't heard from her, so we're going to put in a missing persons report.
Dang.
And like, that's how in touch with her family she was.
Yeah.
It makes you also wonder, though, did they know something?
We'll get to that.
Did they? I never delved.
family?
I
You
never
know what I
heard
mean?
about
Like,
this.
were they worried about her to the point of one day was abnormal. You know
I
what
wonder
mean?
if it has to do with her condition.
Yes.
Yeah,
For sure.
That
Okay.
would make more sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
if they kind of had like an inkling, like, hey, she's been-
Something probably happened.
Well, they dive into it a little more with it too.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, dive into it. Anyway,
You'll get it later.
I'm thirsty.
Wow. You'll get it later.
Thirsty.
sorry, that was really dark. That was
It was so
bad
dark.
humor.
I think we've already made our light touches to dark things in this episode. So
Yeah. So that day, January 31st, there's a missing persons report. It goes public. People are looking for this girl. And on February 6th, about a week later, the LAPD holds a press conference regarding her disappearance. And on February 13th, LAPD then releases the famous footage,
The video.
the elevator footage.
Well, and this is funny because this whole topic came up because I actually saw that video on TikTok.
Did you?
Yes. And then I found out about this docuseries. And so I remember I told you guys, I was like, oh, well, there's this weird series with this crazy video, of this girl in an elevator and all this crazy stuff. And yeah, it's freaking nuts.
I gotta be honest. The footage, the very first time you watch it, is so creepy, dude.
Bizarre.
It's
Yeah.
bizarre, eerie. Just it makes you feel uneasy as you're watching it.
it looks like you're watching somebody who is possessed.
Yeah,
straight up.
like almost being haunted or and
Yeah.
followed / possessed.
Like she.
So it's this Asian girl in a red jacket. She goes into the elevator, into the like if I'm
And it's not a big elevator.
It's not a big
It's pretty
elevator.
small.
But she goes to the left corner. Like if you were to walk in the elevator doors, she goes into the left corner away from the doors. And is kind of like tucked in, hiding away.
Puts her back against the wall.
Puts her back
When she
against the
sends
wall.
her hands straight down, like
Yep.
very.
And then she decides to slide over near the buttons. So she slides over, tucks away closer to the buttons, kind of hiding into that corner, hoping that no one sees her.
Well, actually, sorry,
no,
to back
she-
up.
She starts
When
by
she-
pushing the buttons.
Yeah, when she very first walks into
That's
the elevator, she does this weird little hand wave and turns and bends at the waist to stare at the buttons at almost eye level. And then she goes down and hits the center row of the buttons.
All of them.
I
Just
thought that
straight down the
happened
center.
after the first time she stepped
No,
out.
because
that's
that's
the
what's
very
bizarre.
first thing she
That's
does.
what was bizarre originally about the videos, because she hits the buttons at the beginning and then the elevator never goes anywhere.
Door doesn't close. She
Right.
hides
Oh,
in the
yeah.
corner.
Yeah, then she
moves
hides
to
in
the
the
front corner.
moves to the front, and then she peers around the corner, like leaning out and around.
Yeah.
But she does like the
Comes-
fast thing. Like
Yeah.
she leans out and she like looks
Both
left and right
ways,
real
yeah.
fast and
And then
pulls
ducks
back
back
in.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she. We should probably watch it to give them a better aid.
I was just looking it up.
Yeah, but either way, it's extremely eerie. And if you want to look for it, we can actually probably link it. If you're following us on YouTube, we can link it down below.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's really creepy. But and then as she's doing that, she comes back in and I think she goes to press the buttons again, right? Because nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
She
then
doesn't- I don't think she ends up pushing
does.
anything
She
though.
pushes-
Does
She does.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the
Okay.
first time she pushes down the center, and then the second time she goes in, I swear she pushes the buttons
More.
on the side,
She
but
went like
nothing
this,
else
upward. Yeah.
lights up.
Yeah.
And this entire time, there's maybe like 2 minutes passing. The door never closes. So, and then she steps out of the elevator.
She does like a
And-
little sidestep thing.
Yeah, and she starts doing like almost like a weird dance
She
routine.
goes like takes her hands
Yes. And it looks like to me, her hands didn't look like they could naturally bend
They
that
look
way.
like
That
rubber.
that's what was so
they look
weird.
rubbery.
It looked like
Yeah.
if you were to turn your hands palms up and bend at the wrist, but yet her palms were down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a very good way of saying it. Cause yeah, she was moving erratically and just it like you were saying, she looked possessed.
Yeah.
And almost like she was either fighting with someone either inside her head or that we couldn't see, almost like
And
a figment
talking
of
like
her
she's talking
imagination.
to somebody.
Yeah, it looked like she was talking to either someone that was hiding on the outside of the elevator or
Well,
and
that
that's
was-
what's so eerie about it.
That's what was one of the theories was somebody standing outside of the elevator holding the button down, and that's why it wasn't moving and the doors weren't closing.
Yeah.
Well, and even the first time she goes out, she almost like jumps like she's trying to scare somebody.
Yeah.
Like she does this weird like slow thing and then like hop
Yeah.
and like, but no.
But when she goes out, she like goes in a square too. She like goes up, steps back, hops.
Like it gave the analogy of like a square dance.
and like her
if you were
hands
to-
up in the air and she's doing weird stuff. You can only see like her elbow.
Yeah.
Well, then she then leaves the scene, right? Then she goes left out of frame.
Yeah.
Well, it shows her
From-
standing there for just a second longer outside of the frame. You can see her arm. Yeah, there you go. But
And she comes back
yep.
in. That's where she hits the buttons again.
She goes like this down the
And-
center again.
Twice.
It's such a creepy
It's bizarre.
video, dude.
It is super weird.
It's heavy. It
And
makes
then-
yeah.
yeah, and then that's when she leaves, and then that was pretty much it.
And honestly, I look at it more paranormal than anything.
Do you?
I do kind of like.
I just want to know why the doors never closed.
I feel like
Yes,
she's on
exactly.
something.
Well,
It does say
we'll,
why.
We'll dive into this here in a little while.
Yeah, that.
But see right there, the weird arm hand movements, and they're like.
And her fingers.
And
yeah.
another weird thing to note is the timestamp down at the bottom of the screen. It's
unreadable.
all unreadable. It looks like someone put a weird filter over the. It's not like blurred out. It's almost like the numbers are enlarged in a weird way to where they run over one another.
It looks like a 1980s like computer game.
Yeah.
And when the door starts to shut too, it does look like it jumps.
Yeah.
Well, and
It looks like it's
that's
been
the thing
altered.
though. When she leaves the elevator, isn't it like a full like
2 minutes.
2 minutes before the doors
it's
close?
a full 2 minutes after she leaves that then the doors close. And the weird part about the doors closing is it leaps. Like the door jumps almost halfway closed quickly, and then it closes slowly the
but
rest
then
of the way.
doesn't it open again and it's still on the same floor?
No, that by that time I think it's moving now. Now it's going to the floors that she punched in.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Because
when
they look. Because outside the door, it looks exactly
I know.
the same.
I thought that too, and maybe it could be,
And
but
here's the reasoning behind that is so in watching all the behind the scenes like research, a lot of investigators, or as they call themselves, internet sleuths, which it's a term that I absolutely hate.
Yeah.
They focused on the numbers that she was pressing, and there was one button that she would press and it never lit. Like it would blink and then it would turn off. And they quickly realized that signifies the level that she was on.
Yes.
So she was on level 14
Yep.
or level 13.
yeah,
And that's where she was staying, was level 14. So she was on her own level, which is a big clue later. But so that is the last footage that we know of Elisa Lam.
Oh yeah, the last time she was ever seen.
Yeah. So that was very pinnacle in trying to find her. And so that's why the LAPD made that public, was so that people could try and maybe look into it, see if we could come up with any sort of answers as to what happened to her.
Keep an eye on, see if anybody
And
can
it-
see her.
Yeah.
well, and on the button thing too, and I don't know if you were going to get to this later, but it does. Somebody ended up figuring out why the elevator stays open
Yes.
with the button
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if we wanted to say it yet or
Well,
not.
why?
but-
I
why?
think we
Tell me.
saved that.
You want to know?
You say, well, just tell me.
I thought we were saving that.
We're
I don't
gonna
know this
save
part.
it.
This is for you guys.
We're saving that.
Okay, fine. I'll wait. I can wait. I can be patient.
I can't.
For today,
Oh, wow.
I promise.
You're asleep. What are you
not
talking about?
You're asleep.
Hey, we were saving that.
So to
that on?
then fast forward on time frame. So that was the last footage of her being seen.
Yes.
Fast forward another week. So now it's February 19th. The hotel those British, the British couple, they start noticing black water. Right.
Oh, yeah.
They're-
It's more of just a brownish water.
Yeah.
they were saying it was
grayish brown.
yeah,
Somebody
grayish
said
brown.
black.
Either
either
Somebody
way
said black.
disgusting.
And the lack of water pressure
no
too.
pressure.
Low pressure.
No low
black
pressure,
water.
and so they're
Funny
drinking
taste.
water, they're showering water.
People were
sweet
drinking it?
taste.
Yes, dude. So they go down to the lobby. They complain that they are getting that low pressure, dark gray, black water. They reissue this couple another room.
Chris is about to puke.
Go take care of move your stuff. We'll have the maintenance guys look into it. So then the maintenance guy goes to check in on it. Sure enough, low pressure, black water coming out. So then he goes up onto the roof, opens up the water tanks to see what's going on. And sure enough, comes across Elisa Lam's body.
Yep.
floating.
face up,
Naked.
naked in the one of the water tanks.
But her clothes were in the tank.
The clothes were in the
At the
tank,
bottom of the
yes,
tank,
but
yes.
she was naked, and it had been
19 days.
19 days since she had disappeared.
19 days. These people are drinking body water.
Rotting
Body water.
tea. It's
Oh
brewing
my
up there. The
gosh, you're
sun's
right.
beating on it. It's
More
just,
like a
This is
more
how we
like
get
a
zombies.
So at that point, more, I don't know, more like a broth.
dude.
Dude, it disgust. Like I
This
don't know.
is how coronavirus is spread. That's what it is.
This is how freaking
Or tuberculosis.
Like,
This is how Resident Evil began.
after this, I don't know how a business stays running, because you would think everyone staying there, that is like a free sign to, hey, sue me. Right?
Yeah.
They actually, attendance at the hotel skyrocketed after that.
Yep.
Well, yes, because of the missing persons
Yeah.
and
Case.
wanting to like figure
They
it
wanted
out.
to come and solve it themselves.
But what I'm saying is I don't know how you stay in business, because I would think everyone staying there would want to sue the living crap out of
Yeah.
the Cecil
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah, but you
Get
have to figure
paid.
most, like
Just send 'em up
90% of
to-
the tenants there are staying there for $20 a night.
Yeah, but
Like,
still, class action lawsuit, dude. It happens all the time.
Yeah, but they're in Skid Row, man.
And that hotel.
What a
They
better
don't
way to
have
make money.
They don't have, I don't think, they just don't have the resources.
You
hotel
can't
They
tell
don't
me
know what
that
to
one
do.
lawyer in the LA area wasn't like, hey, let's put together a class action lawsuit. I'll represent all
guess
100 of you.
not.
He,
Like, I don't
he
know.
saw the blood in the water.
What?
That was a bad joke.
Shark. Like a shark.
Oh.
Saw the blood and went in there. It just,
You didn't mean to say blood in the water, did you?
I meant to say it, but not.
Not
and,
in-
and then the pun like hit me in the face. But like, you know how they say like a shark.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. One lawyer would have been like, hey guys,
Blah,
let's,
blah,
let's
blah.
go. Yeah, let's go up.
blah,
Let's
blah,
get
blah,
this.
blah, blah.
I said I need a.
You want a ball gag?
What?
I don't know.
Okay, so
So then after the body is found, obviously, well, no, wait. I'm sorry. I forgot about the police investigation. So after Elisa goes missing,
Yeah.
they shut down the hotel and the police start investigating the hotel room by room. They want to search every room,
Closet by
every
closet.
closet, every nook and cranny, trying to find this missing girl. And
I know they brought dogs in.
yeah,
Correct.
they had a bunch of canine units and they were trying to find her scent. They found her room with all of her belongings. And so,
That's where they found the prescriptions.
yep, they found prescriptions and
Well, didn't
Well,
the
and
dogs track the
they
scent
had
just
one
to
dog
to the
fire
window.
escape?
One
Yes.
dog got a hit in the hallway to
The fire
window
escape,
where
but
the
then
fire
he
escape
lost.
was.
But even before that, she had to change rooms.
Yeah.
Because she started acting erratically, and her roommates.
Oh, that's right.
She
She was
shared
with
her-
other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
And she
first.
was leaving notes and stuff on their bed and different
Like,
things.
what kind of notes?
Like
Get
just
out.
saying, like, go home, get away.
yeah, so she
So they moved her to a private room to where she could stay by herself.
yeah,
And
so,
then-
so I think, and this doesn't exactly make sense to me because she didn't travel with anyone, but yes, she was staying with people. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming
it's like the youth hostel thing or whatever.
yeah, I think they either paired her up with someone or they
Well,
paired
in a-
up on the outside.
Typically in a hostel, it's literally just like a shared room, so you can
Yeah.
end up with anybody.
Yep.
Okay, so
There's no-
you
you're
just
not
like
coordinating,
sign
it's
up
just
for a
like-
room.
Yeah, it's just like think of like an Airbnb where each individual bed is rented out to someone different.
Okay, okay, that makes far more sense because when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know how she got paired
yeah,
up
how
with
do
these
you how
guys.
do you end up with random people?
But the investigators noticed that she had all of her expensive items still there, her laptop, all these things. So they know
passport.
that she didn't just leave. So that's why there was
They knew she was in the hotel somewhere.
or she just they knew that she was either abducted or, something.
But they said they looked at video too of all the exits and everything, and she had never left the
Right.
hotel.
Yeah.
So they she's in here somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. And so
So-
they went through with the canines, they got a scent, and the scent led them to the fire escape.
Correct.
What?
this is bizarrely a lot like The Hangover.
sad but true.
Oh, jeez.
It's so funny you say that because I thought that when I was watching this
Did you
docuseries.
really?
I really did.
She just didn't have a mattress.
Especially when they found her on the roof. I was just like, oh. Like,
That's a horrible
Meets the
comparison.
Grudge or something.
That's what I'm just saying.
well, it's actually
he never
because the
left the
dark
hotel. They
aspect
trapped him on the
to it.
roof.
It's true.
they actually said that this whole thing mimicked old horror movie. Well, not
Yeah.
old horror movie, but an older
It was
horror movie.
it was like a movie made in the 80s that then
A
they
Japanese one.
then they remade
then
here in the
remade
states
it
in the 90s
States
or something
called
like that.
Dark Water, and it was it.
That's the one with Michelle Pfeiffer, isn't it?
No, it's with Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, what
Where
am I
her
thinking
and her
of?
daughter stay in a cheap hotel and weird things start to happen. Dark water starts to come out of the faucet. But the weird thing is the little girl in the movie wore the same red jacket that Elisa Lam was in when she went missing.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Like the movie was,
when was the movie made?
I want to say the 90s. The American version was in the 90s
Yeah,
sometime.
there are a lot of weird parallels that happen, and
What?
they do the whole thing where it's like 1, 2, yeah, sure, it's a coincidence, but you start getting
Three's a
into
pattern.
like 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's no longer. It's what was the word that they used? It wasn't a pattern. It was a
What was it? It was a
Check my notes.
started. I want to say it started with an S.
C or something like that.
But like it got down to the point where
didn't write it down.
so the last place she was known to be before the hotel was the bookstore. It was called the Last Bookstore.
Yeah.
And if you supposedly do a Google Maps search of an address that's on their website, it would take you to the cemetery where Elisa Lam
Yeah.
is buried.
Yep.
There were so many coincidences, quotation, that it was just bizarre.
Yeah.
Like bizarre in the way of someone had to
Like
do it.
something was set up here.
Yeah. Well, they thought that maybe somebody had killed her and mimicked that movie because
Yeah.
everything was so spot on with that movie, Dark Water.
Yeah. Like a very sick, sadistic
That is nuts.
way to like align the stars.
Yeah.
So while she was missing, there was a lot of question on like what happened to her. Obviously, was she abducted? Was she put into sex trafficking? Was someone that was homeless? Did they give her drugs? There was like her disappearance raised a lot of red flags, and leading up to her disappearance, she started acting extremely strange. She made her roommates really uncomfortable, which made her change rooms.
She would scream in the lobby.
She would go down to the lobby and just scream frantically. There were even, there was something about her doing something down a hallway.
She went to a like live broadcast of a show and got kicked out of the
that's
as
right.
well.
Yeah, there was
'Cause
like
she
a
wrote
local
a-
broadcasting show. She
Yeah.
wrote a letter.
She wrote a letter that she wanted them to give to the host, and then
was very insistent on it.
yeah,
so
and
they
security.
like kicked her out. Yeah, so there was a lot like, was this drug induced?
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
because I know that she was bipolar,
Correct.
Yeah.
but like I feel like I've known some bipolar people,
Well, and
and
they-
they've never done
There's
things
different
like
types
that.
of bipolar.
Yeah,
Really?
they called it bipolar 1, and it's supposedly a very severe case.
Yeah, it's the most severe
Dang.
of being bipolar.
Yes.
And so going back to the janitor or the maintenance guy finding the body, when they found the body, he said that the tank lid was open.
Yeah.
And so that also raised a lot of questions because the water level was low enough that if you were in the water, you couldn't go up high enough to then close the lid on yourself. So
The detective said by his knowledge that the lid was closed at this point. So
Yes.
during
So that's what
Or,
raised
I'm
all the.
sorry.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, that the lid was closed, so she couldn't have closed it on herself.
She couldn't have jumped in and then
'cause
turned
it was-
around and closed
'cause
it.
They said it was like 20 pounds.
yeah, and it wasn't
wasn't
hinged.
light.
It was a cover that you had to put.
Oh,
Yeah, it wasn't
yeah.
a hinge. It was literally a sheet of metal.
A steel cover that you had to put over the entrance. To
And
the
there was
tank.
nothing she could stand on in the tank to reach up and.
This is straight up murder.
So exactly,
But
that was
that's-
the point. Is that
Yes.
because the lid was on, she couldn't have done it herself.
Yeah.
And that's when the sleuth started like, hey, there's no way that
That's
this
when
has to
I
be murder.
personally thought it was an evil entity because the way she was
Maybe.
acting on the elevator scene,
like a possession.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like she was possessed for controlled to go into the water tank, and then the entity, after she died, the entity left her body, closed the lid, and was done with her.
See, and that's what I thought, because the way she was acting, it looked either like a possession or like she was on some hardcore crap.
Yeah,
Just the
Some
way she was
kind of
acting.
hallucinogen.
And I thought maybe somebody had given her something and was then like following her by the way it
Right.
seemed like gave her something
Like
and was
maybe she was very
leading her to her own demise. but-
suggestible.
Yes.
And they kind of played it off and maybe pretended they were something. And
right.
And that's what I was
Well,
thinking in my head.
I had another thought kind of like that, but the other person she was with was also on drugs, and they thought it would be funny, quotations, to jump in the tank. And then the other person jokingly puts the lid on and then leaves
Something
because
to that
they're out of
degree.
their mind.
Yeah.
And another side note is the door leading up to the roof had an alarm on it. So if you were to press on it, the alarm should sound down in the lobby
For the stairways. The
Yeah.
stairway that goes to the
for the
roof.
stairway that led up to the roof.
It was like an emergency exit.
Correct.
Exactly. That never went off, which then led them to believe that she took the fire escape, which would have made sense with the canine dogs.
yeah.
Yep.
And so then when they were looking into it and they were thinking, okay, this is clearly a murder, then how did they get the body up there? And that was a big old question because the tanks were, 15 feet tall or something like that.
Yeah.
So the two different ways to get up there, you either had to climb a vertical ladder with her body if you didn't kill her up there, or you had to jump up there somehow. I don't know. Either way,
Yeah.
if she was dead prior, there would have been damage to her body, either through bruising or some sort of thing, which the coroner never found.
Didn't the coroner say she drowned?
Well, this was all before that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
as the coroner was running tests, they were curious if it was.
She didn't have anything in her system.
It was like a
drug-wise.
3 week. It was a 3 week before they released the coroners, right?
Yes, yeah.
So it was
It was a
very
long
dragged
time.
out.
Yeah. So
Process.
Well, and at an initial testing, she had no damage on her body, no signs of trauma. They did the sexual test.
Yep.
I forgot what they call
nothing,
it.
nothing
rape
in her
test.
Yeah.
orifices, nothing underneath her fingernails, which, I mean, it's kind of weird to me that like something bathing 19 days in water, like that stuff could still be there.
too.
Yeah.
If that were the case,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
we're
the
all
coroner.
men. We soak dishes because we don't want to clean them right away. We want that stuff to come off by itself. You soak a dish for an hour, it comes off. What's going to make it stay after 19 days?
I don't know. And especially if the water's constantly under movement and flushing up and down, like it makes me wonder how truthful that is. Either
Well,
way.
and that was another thing they mentioned because most drownings, they're face down with their arms and legs kind of slumping down.
Yeah.
But yet she was found face up, which led.
Indicates foul play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then they later kind of assumed, well, it is a water tank where the water levels rise and fall. Her body could have flipped.
Yeah.
But
That's a lot of hearsay so far.
yes.
And
But-
the toxicity report too. I was like, she's like losing everything in that water as she's decomposing.
And that's exactly what my
Yeah.
question is I don't know where, like, at what point does your body start to take in the water to
and
then
replace
and
everything.
replace
That's,
Yeah,
everything
I've heard
was
that
in
when
it.
they find bodies in water, they're
usually
extremely
bloated.
bloated. Yeah. But
Yeah. And so that, honestly,
Osmosis.
all this made me question at some point, was she killed beforehand and then later dumped into the tank?
But they said she was in a pretty good state of decomposition though.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know.
But yeah, just the pure fact that they said that she wasn't bloating. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a coroner, dude. I don't know any of this stuff.
I don't either. But it's kind of weird. I don't know. My
I just
brain
know you put
says
noodles in water, they expand. You know what I mean?
To choose that reference, huh?
That's where I go. Wait, what?
You're not understanding.
Oh, I see.
gotta cut that out.
But no, you're right though. Like, how is it that she's not affected by the water? How is the thing closed? I'm trying to save us, but you guys won't steer back in here.
You took us down this path.
You called them out for it.
You were all thinking it.
Well,
I meant macaroni noodles.
Macaroonies.
Macaroonies.
You put bread and water, and it falls
expands.
Mm.
apart. It's science. It makes sense.
Oh my god.
Science.
This is yeah, I'm saying it right now. It's either murder or ghosts.
Or drugs.
Murdered by ghosts.
Murder by ghosts.
So, and then
Like straight up. Well, again, seriously, going back to what you guys said, like this hotel has got something evil in it. It has to.
Yeah, I agree.
With as many people have died in there, with as many serial killers who have
many
freaking
satanic
lived
rituals
there,
were probably taking place in
yeah,
there.
who knows how many rituals, all this stuff. I think this could definitely be something
Yeah.
that has to do with like evil entities.
so
You knock. Yeah.
go for it.
You let evil knock on the door and you invite it. It's gonna stay.
It's gonna stuff you in a water tank on top of a roof.
And they nicknamed the place the Gateway to Hell.
See?
Like
Didn't they call
you're
it the
just-
suicide hotel?
You're just asking
It
for
had
it.
all sorts of
all
nicknames.
sorts of names.
But and then to go back to the creepy elevator footage,
Yeah.
as all this is coming to light, and people keep studying the elevator footage, they notice at the bottom some guys. I don't know how much time they spent, but they decoded the timestamp at
What?
the bottom,
Yeah.
and they realized through their decoding that there was like 53 seconds missing. 53 seconds of footage missing.
And it had been slowed down.
And it was
Yes.
slowed down like 30%.
Yeah.
And so people started questioning if people there at the hotel were in on the
Trying to
thing,
cover it
trying to cover it up, or if it went even deeper than that, and someone at the LAPD who released the footage was also trying to cover some
And paid
tracks.
off
Yeah,
for the hotel, which I thought in my head too, because they were trying to rebrand, and all of a sudden this happens when they're trying to rebrand with this hostel that they're doing and everything. I was like,
That's true.
yeah.
But see, and that's how we were talking earlier, the door scene, when the elevator door jumps,
Yeah.
it's in that
That's part of that time
that's
gap.
part of that time gap. And so somebody made the comment, that's just enough time. If somebody's, so how they were saying the doors don't close, the elevator doesn't move. There was the suspicion someone's on the outside holding the button down. Well, just so happens after she leaves, the elevator doors close and it starts moving again. Well, that 53 seconds is just enough time for somebody to walk from the one side with the button on the outside to the direction that Elisa
Is the
left.
button on the right side
So the button is on whatever
from the video
opposite side
that
she was on.
So
Yeah.
so the right. So if she was on the left, they were on the right. They'd have to walk to her.
Correct. If you're in the elevator looking outward, they were on the right, she was on the left.
You wouldn't even need 53 seconds for that. That would be like
No,
10, like
but I
5.
mean, it's
they're being generous with the time.
But they could have, like, in 53 seconds is a ton of time.
Dragged her out.
You could have fought. You could have, there
Maybe
could have been a
grabbed
whole
her,
bunch
took her
of
the
stuff.
other way.
And why that jump in the door is so creepy, because the footage is slowed down 30%, which makes her movements look much creepier. And then on top of that, you see the door just slam halfway and then slow, and then you realize, okay, now it's a cut of time
Yeah.
that they just pulled out. So. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then the internet sleuths start going way into it, because then there are all these really crazy ties. So at the time of her body being found in the water tank, was it 2 days later, 3 days later? Simultaneously
After her
around
body
that
being
time,
found.
around her body being found, or maybe it was something about it, but a tuberculosis
yeah.
starts cycling in Skid Row.
this I could honestly believe.
This is creepy, dude.
Yeah.
This is where it gets way weird.
conspiracy
So
40 count.
tuberculosis
Yeah.
starts spiking in Skid Row, and they think, what was it, that it came from China?
No, so
No, that
where in her hometown in Canada,
Yes.
there's a university who they were doing studies on tuberculosis.
Yes. Yeah. So at her university, they were doing studies on tuberculosis, and then she goes here And all of a sudden there's tuberculosis cycling and they're assuming because of the water from her body.
There's a conspiracy theory that she was a living weapon of mass destruction. That she got put in this water tank so people would drink the water and then spread the tuberculosis to help control the homeless population.
Yeah, and I swear there was something about her ethnicity being Asian about this, wasn't there?
Yeah, I want to say yes, and I can't remember.
I can't remember the detail, but there was something about her ethnicity also being Asian that also kind of made a weird tie to it.
Yeah.
But here's the craziest thing. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Your mind's gonna freaking blow. Later on, the test. What is it? The test from the federal agency comes out.
Oh yeah.
To test for tuberculosis.
The test for tuberculosis is called Lam Elisa.
What?
Literally, her
name-
first and last name swapped.
Yep. Boom.
What?
That's the test name.
So the test name
Shut
is
up.
Lam
Spelled
Elisa.
the same way, everything.
Look up Lam Elisa test.
Okay. I'm just saying. I mean,
Just saying, but I'm not saying.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying there's way too much. This is not coincidental. This cannot be.
That's the technology for the test, right? It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the test to make sure to see if you had tuberculosis.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
What? No, what? No. This is some deep cover shiz right here. This
Right?
is
So that along with the 53 seconds of missing footage really raises a lot of red flags.
for real.
And then in the coroner's release notes that went public, there were also corrections on the notes from the coroner from going from what were the two boxes titled? Do you
I got
remember?
one of them here. It was so the one
Accidental.
was undetermined.
Yes, one of the first box checked was undetermined cause of death.
Yep.
And it was initialed and signed. And then right next to it,
Good heck.
my dog's scratching.
She got an itch.
Yes.
Ghosts.
And then right next to it, there's another box titled
Accident.
And then they
Or
checked,
accidental.
Yeah, accidental death.
With
and they
drowning.
checked that with drowning listed, and then they signed and initialed and dated it. And the dates on them, there was 3 days of difference. There was like the 12th and then
No,
the
it's the
15th, or
15th and the
15th and the
18th.
18th.
Correct.
That's what it was. So there was 3 days worth of difference in those signings.
But the 15th is the accidental drowning, and then the 18th is the other one.
Accidental.
I thought it was opposite. The undetermined was the earlier date.
No,
Yes.
it was the other way around. I'm almost positive.
Okay.
The accidental was the 15th, and then the undetermined was the 18th.
Now I'm no stranger to believing in chemical warfare and bioweapons.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, like, things in recent times can make me think of stuff. But anywho, I wouldn't put it past them,
right?
right?
It's
Because
very-
you think of every movie, every book, any kind of conspiracy that talks about using disease to cull the population is always focused on the weakest of us, the ones that aren't contributing. Older people, homeless people, obviously, like it's
Mentally unstable.
Mentally unstable. It's going on. It's trying to get rid of the people.
The compromised ones. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
The weakest
crazy.
link.
So-
That's too freaking weird.
Right?
That part's weird.
So then
I'm trying.
the coroner comes out, says it was an accidental drowning. And their reasoning is leading up to all this. They found her prescription pills in her hotel room. And they're saying that the coroner comes back and they notice in the body a lower than normal amounts of the prescriptions that she was
Yeah,
taking.
they didn't find any other drugs other than her prescription, and it was a lower amount.
And so,
So you mean
That drives me nuts too, because she's waterlogged. That's where the
Right.
whole thing
Well,
of like
that's what I'm
sitting in
saying.
the
Is
water.
you're telling me that after 19 days of being in water, they're expecting her to have the same amount
I don't
of
know.
prescription in her?
But they're saying that over the course of time, she dropped her levels of prescription. Her bipolar ramped up.
How do they know?
And they had a psychiatrist on the show kind of.
She did. Who are you going to ask?
But the psychiatrist was saying that her actions were very
Similar.
Like it was building up.
Yeah. Like
to
her
this.
bipolar was, the swings were getting bigger. And
And-
some of the swings that she was experiencing were things like hallucinations,
Dang.
talking to other, like.
I
She
thought
got paid off,
bipolar
too.
just meant like 1 second you're all happy, the next second you're punching someone in the
That's
face.
part of it.
That's part
But
of it.
it's not being able to control your emotion. Like
Okay.
your emotion swings.
So it was also saying though that part of the her bipolarness is she was also depressed, and it kind of was a double-edged sword. She hated that she had to take so many pills every day, and so even at home there would be times when she wouldn't take her prescriptions
Her
because she
family came up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when her family, not in the docuseries, but they mentioned that they talked to her sister, and her sister said that she would have these really erratic episodes where she would hide under her bed. She would think someone was after her. So that would
Dang.
explain the paranoid look in the elevator scene.
She would hallucinate, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they said? She'd
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
hallucinations.
Yeah. hallucinations, stuff like
and
that.
so and so she was known for not really wanting to stay on top of her prescriptions. And so if you think she started in San Diego and was working her way up, if by this point she's already, I don't know, a week or so into her vacation, maybe longer, if she hasn't been taking her pills that whole time, by this point she's ready for us.
a manic episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and so, and this is just like, it just, I don't know, man. There's so much that I question because, so she also, like we were mentioning earlier, she ran a blog on Tumblr. And on Tumblr, she mentioned about her bipolar disorder. She mentioned about her suicidal thoughts. And then she would have like her good days and her bad days. Like it was a very transparent blog.
Yeah.
And so that does lead me to believe about the bipolar, but I don't know if I fully believe that it's the cause
I
of
agree.
her death.
100%.
So then again, the mechanic or whatever who found her body said that it was closed.
No, other way around.
No. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Sorry.
So he says when he initially finds it, the door's closed.
Okay.
Right? That makes you believe that there's no way she could
Someone
have
put her
killed
in there.
herself.
I think he said he opened it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So he didn't actually say it was closed, but he said he opened it up and saw a body in there.
Exactly.
In the beginning.
And so they, running through the bipolar thing, they're wondering if she went up to the rooftop to kill herself by jumping off, got too scared, and then saw the water tanks, and then decided that would be easier.
Oh, see,
Or to hide.
I was going to say,
or
I
to
had
hide.
heard that she
One
got
or the
in there
other.
to hide from this hallucination.
Yeah. Either one,
Suicide
like,
went to hide from paranoia.
it's
right?
all, yeah. It's all hearsay at this
linked
point.
to this episode. It's
Yeah.
all linked to this episode.
So, but again, the mechanic said the door was closed. He had to open it and find the body.
See, real quick.
Later on,
Sorry, I just have to say, it was the cop in the interview that said the door was closed.
Yes.
oh, okay. Didn't he also say it
cop
in
said
the interview?
But at the end, I thought it was at the beginning. He said that they said that he had opened the lid and found her body. Like he had said it that way.
Maybe I have to rewatch
See, that
the
I
Netflix
don't.
thing.
That I don't remember. I just remember in the interview with the bald cop and him saying the report states
Yeah.
that the lid was closed.
To
Yeah.
our knowledge, the lid was
Yeah.
closed.
But
Yeah.
I swear I saw. Maybe I have to rewatch it. Maybe my mind made this up. But I,
thought
swear
so
the,
too. I think
the
we're on the same
mechanic
page on that. I don't know.
said that because I swear, man.
He said they said
Anyway.
he had opened the lid and he found the body in there.
Exactly.
And at the beginning.
And here's the other thing, right? They went up there with the canines, didn't find the scent led them to the door with the fire escape, and yet they are going by these water tanks and no scent.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I'm
Because,
just
I mean,
saying.
you can't wash off the scent until after.
Well, see, and with that, the argument, so to speak, was that the tank she was in to get to the ladder, to get to the hatch on top, was within the middle of these tanks. You would have had to squeeze through these pipes and different things like that. So in defense of the dogs, if they even just trailed around the tanks, well, I don't know,
would've
because
picked
they
up on
still
it.
would have followed
She had
it
to
in.
go to the tanks from
Yeah,
the.
that's
They would have
true.
picked up on it.
It's true. So
I don't know, man.
and it's not like it rains or anything in LA to get rid of the scent.
Yeah.
So
But later on, the coroner releases this: the low prescription levels, no abuse is found, no bruising, no damage, no sexual tests returned anything,
No foul play.
no foul play at all across the board. But she was still found in the container without her clothes on. So the consensus is that she went to these water tanks to hide or to whatever, got in there. Maybe she didn't realize what she was doing. And at the time, panic, but she tried to live, tried to swim. And so she ditched her clothes in the tank.
because they were extra weight.
Yeah.
Because they're extra weight, she's trying to,
Get up to get out.
to get out, and ends up not succeeding. But again, most people that drown are face down. She was face up, but we kind of talked on that with the levels rising and lowering. And then later on in the court session, was it right? Then the janitor, the maintenance guy, then comes out to say that he came across it with the door open.
Yes.
So, which then leads to believe that she wasn't shut in there. That there wasn't any other foul play. That it was just her causing these issues.
And when they touch on that, they're like, "Oh, it's just human error." Like they
Yeah.
just pass by it really quick.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
No, I do not accept that.
Well,
But
that
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I just don't believe it.
I agree.
So you think
Because-
he's the liar?
I think the janitor was paid off, dude. It makes total sense.
Well, because one of the things too, so Elisa Lam's family tries to sue the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they weren't keeping an eye on her in a sense. Their arguments, for one, when she was acting erratically in the lobby, I kind of already said this earlier. They were like, well, what are we going to do? Like, for one, she didn't look any different compared to most people that walk through our lobby.
Yeah.
She's like, this is the Cecil Hotel, for crying out loud. And two, even if I would have called the cops, would anyone have come? And then the other argument was like, put a dang lock on the water tanks. Like, why wasn't there a lock on the hatch door? And she said, and the manager's excuse was, back then it wasn't to code to have a lock on it.
It wasn't. Code didn't make them have a lock on it.
Yeah.
And she was like, we had the emergency door with an alarm that they later said the alarm does work. It's just basically like a silent alarm down in the lobby. You're not going to actually hear it at the door.
Yeah.
And then they can't block off the fire escape because it's a fire escape. It's meant to be able to access.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it really comes down to, okay, so the door has an alarm, the fire escape can't be blocked off. So once again, the lock on the hatch doors, and their only excuse to that was it wasn't required, so we're not going to do it.
yeah.
My mind's still like,
I don't know,
Swirling.
man. There's too many weird ties. Like if they're say the police investigators at the end of the show do say we have the original elevator footage,
Oh,
and
right.
I can tell you that there is no tampering. That all the seconds are there. It's all played a normal.
No, he did.
Release the
show
freaking
us.
footage then.
Yeah.
Show
So
us.
See it.
he said they slowed it down on, because how they said, why is it slowed down? Well, it's slowed down so that hopefully a facial recognition can be done. And then as far as the 53-second glitch or whatever, he said, once we release it, he's like, who knows what the public's going to do with it? And so
They released it tampered though. He's like, all he says is we have the hard drive video in our possession, and I can tell you it hasn't been tampered with.
Yeah,
and it's
but
there's
he doesn't say that
but he
there's
won't
anything
show
else
it.
that's in there.
But he won't show us. They won't show us it.
The pure fact that the tuberculosis test that came out was her name.
That's freaking weird.
That's
Like-
how. Yeah.
Come on, man.
that's
Like,
the
that's too
conspiracy.
much.
You're
of a-
telling me your
that's an
sidebar.
insane coincidence.
Backing up a bit, one of the other theories was and we kind of mentioned it earlier, was this musician named Morbid. His stage name was Morbid. And he was into dark, what did they call it? Black metal?
Black metal.
Death metal.
Death metal.
He called it black metal.
He called
because
it
it's
black
like
metal.
black magic.
It's like
We know it as death
gothic-y.
metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he coincidentally stayed at the hotel almost exactly a year before Elisa Lam. And he has this music video that shows this woman running through the forest scared who ends up getting caught and killed. His lyrics talk about a woman drowning in the ocean.
letting her body rest in the ocean.
Yeah, that's what it
And
is.
it says something about China too in the lyrics.
Yeah. And so he's got these lyrics and video that just doesn't add up. So people start attacking this guy.
Yeah.
Like socially, just you effing killed her. We'll catch you. Don't you dare come to LA. We'll get you, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it drives this guy to, he's later interviewed and he talks about how he attempted suicide. His music career is completely gone. He says he tries to write music now and can't. And basically his whole life's destroyed, which once again goes back to the fact he stayed at the Cecil Hotel. It comes back to haunt him a year later.
He was canceled. They canceled all of his emails.
That's right.
His Facebook.
His Facebook.
Yeah, well, because of all the people trolling him on the internet, blaming him and reporting him, he lost all of his accounts on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, like everything across the board.
Right. Yep. And yet he had hard proof that he was nowhere near that area.
But that was a weird coincidence.
It was a weird coincidence, but I do have to say it's so annoying that in that docuseries that they're like, they almost end on a note that they're like, don't bully.
Yeah, that's how they.
Come on!
No, they actually end on the note about the homeless. Remember how they talk about?
Oh yeah.
They go back into the whole Skid Row thing.
Yeah,
because isn't there supposedly like over 10,000 homeless people living there
in that area? Yeah,
in that area, and just how I don't know. I can't even remember how they go into it, but yeah, I don't know the whole thing. Gosh, I wish I could remember the word that they used for the coincidences, because they mention like 7 to 10 coincidences past just the dark water movie. Past that,
I do remember now. I've actually seen that movie.
Yeah, but there were so many.
But
I'm gonna look it up.
There are so many weird loose ends and too many weird ties to things that makes me just believe that the janitor was paid off in the courtroom to say that he came, because think about it from their perspective, that covers every single question.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
If he comes up and the lid is off, she killed herself.
Yeah.
But if the lid's on,
someone else did it.
There's a whole trail of crap.
That was one thing we forgot to mention to kind of bring it back. So the elevator doors, one of the internet sleuths, he pointed out, so as Austin already mentioned, she goes, when she first goes to the buttons, she goes down the middle, but the top button she hits, so they show that there's 5 buttons lit up, but she hits 6, the top one being 14, and Austin already said it lights up but then goes off because that's the floor she's on. The rest light up. Well, the 5th button, they were looking at the pad. If you go 5 buttons down lit up, the bottom button is the like door hold.
Yeah,
button.
and it holds the door open for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
And
so that explains why the door wasn't closing that entire time she was in the elevator.
yeah.
Interesting.
So there's that.
But I still want them to release those 53 seconds.
I agree.
Along with the timestamps.
Why wouldn't you just to put
Yeah.
things at ease? Just like, okay, here's
Well, and that's what he says. So the question on the timestamps, why is it blurred out? Well, the one detective they talked to, he's like, well, we blur it out to keep things private. It's like, what the heck is so private about the date and time of the
which
video?
could be important.
What if
Yeah.
it was the like a day prior? Or something like, what if it's
Like she
not the
disappeared
day
on a totally
that she
different day?
disappeared? Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, man, there's weird
There's still
stuff
a lot of
happening.
loose ends, and
Well, and then they talk
That is
about
so
how
weird.
they mentioned the footage of her coming into the hotel with the two guys and the box with the
with
the books.
with the books and
What's
how
in
she
the box?
well, and so that's just it. So she meets these guys at that bookstore, the last bookstore. Well, she claims that she had to have her box or her books put in this box, and these two guys had to help her carry the box because she was afraid it would be too heavy.
To carry back to the hotel.
It's like how many freaking
story.
It's like how many
Seriously.
freaking books do you have that you need two gentlemen
To carry one box?
to carry one box?
Yeah, that
Back
part's
to-
weird too.
I'm just saying, man, it's weird.
What the freak?
It's weird. They're trying to be like, oh, here's the answer, but the answer doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't.
Nope.
Well, then they said that maybe she was an agent who they gave her the tuberculosis to put in the tanks.
Yeah,
and
as a
then-
plant.
As a plant.
And then she went crazy.
And then they
From the
ended up
tuberculosis.
thinking they wanted to tie loose ends, and so somebody actually took her and put her in there too, so she couldn't talk after. I don't know, man.
But also, you'd think agents would have a better cover story.
I don't know.
We are Hans and Franz, and we work at the bookstore. We carry the big books for her.
It's weird. It's just
That's super weird. Oh my gosh. What if it's all of these things at the same time?
It's ghosts, it's drugs, it's murder.
It's ghost, drugs, murder, biological warfare.
That's the problem is they don't even know.
No.
There's
That's
so
the perfect
many
cover.
people.
You make it all of the things, and no one can find the one thing because you're all arguing about the things.
You remind me of Bill Cosby a little bit. All of the things in
Oh,
the
the thing that they got the pudding and you put the swirls in it.
But yeah,
Maybe it was Bill Cosby.
No,
He's known for drugging
Wasn't that
people.
about the time?
oh man.
you're not wrong.
That's true.
All right. Either way,
Gosh.
a lot of weird loose ends here on Elisa Lam. But
my
then to
gosh.
finish everything with the Cecil Hotel, following her disappearance, attendance spikes, right? And then it was sold in, what was it,
17.
2017, two
Oh, it was
years
sold
ago?
twice. Because it was sold, I want to say, in 2014 and then again in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it
So
closed down, right?
Right.
Which I don't even know how this thing's worth 1 million other than the property that it's on, but it sold for 84 and
Seriously.
sold in 2017 and they're to a New York group, and their idea is to completely renovate the place.
Still there.
It's still there. It's not being in use right now though. Like it stopped providing service, I want to say in 2015. I don't quote me on that.
I thought it was 17 too, as well.
I think they stopped service and then later on then they sold it.
Correct.
And then but their plans, get this, Cam. Their plans for the renovation. Are you ready for this?
Oh my gosh.
They're going to turn the roof into a bar with a pool.
Oh my
waiting pool.
gosh.
Yeah. And they're going to take low
It's a little
income
tone
housing.
deaf, don't you think, guys?
They're taking one section. So that you know how the building's in 3 sections, right? They're taking one building. That's going to be all low income housing. And they're going to do ritzy hotel with the rest of it. Like make
Oh
a high
my
ritzy hotel.
Gosh.
They're still going to keep the low income. They better add another elevator
Yes.
because can you imagine these
Seriously?
That's like the
ritzies?
focal point of
Could you
all
imagine
this
these
funky
ritzies
stuff.
coming in, wanting to stay, and they're sharing an elevator with a tweaker? Like, I mean,
Charles, it smells like piss in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know how in your rebranding
What
you
the
don't make
freak,
one
dude?
new elevator to
I read somewhere that they're hoping it's done by the end of 2021, but that they think COVID may have slowed it down.
Yeah.
either way. It's a weird place. It's a
I mean,
gateway to
and why
hell.
not freaking paint over the Cecil on the side of it? It's still there.
Who knows, man?
That alone looks creepy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the kerning on the lettering drives me absolutely insane.
Right,
It's
dude.
like the
Well,
spacing between
That's
the
what I don't
letters
get.
is so
Like, what
off.
did they cover up and then put Daily over?
Who knows?
And then they made the dailies so
I
close
bet
together.
I bet it was something. It had to do with something when it was an actual functioning hotel, and then they had to cover it up to make
Just
it.
kidding, we're not a hotel.
It's weird. It's just weird. It's
There's
bizarre.
too much. It's got to be like
But didn't like the government stepped in and told them too that they had to keep so much of it low
What's the
income. That's why
government got their business in there for?
Oh, I
Because
get
it's
that.
California, bro.
Yeah, but they told them they had to leave some of it low income, so that's why.
Okay.
Because they kept trying to. They
So
actually tried
Newsom
evicting them.
did the tuberculosis.
I don't know if he was governor back then.
He could have been somehow.
I don't know.
He had his hands in
Manipulated.
it somewhere.
He did.
Probably in the water tank.
Maybe this is how he got to where he is.
All up in it.
Gavin Newsom,
All right.
governor.
All right.
There we
Governor.
go. That's the Cecil Hotel.
What the freak?
What the freak?
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and the talks of Elisa Lam. I know it's more of a more current topic, which is kind of interesting considering it happened almost a
8
decade
years
ago.
ago?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we hope you enjoyed it either way. If there's any topics you'd love for us to cover in the future, please let us know down in the comments, especially if you're here on YouTube. Leave us that like, hit that subscribe if you're new here. And thanks for being part of this tribe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Crowd. This crowd.
Crowd.
Stay away
Sorry.
from Cecil.
One of my channels. Thanks for being part of this crowd. Love you.
I didn't even catch it.